So first and foremost, we gotta talk about the nickname I came up with for Bryce SENSABAUGH. Ice Bryce. So I came up with this nickname because as I was watching him, I was like, oh my god, he reminds me a lot of Joe Johnson. And I love coming up with nicknames for new players. And so what is Joe Johnson's nickname? ISO Joe. So I was like, oh my god, Bryce has got to have a nickname that's like ISO Joe. But the name didn't really fit. I'm like, ISO Bryso? I don't think that's great. And then it just hit me. Ice Bryce. This is so good because number one, ice in the basketball world means you're cold, which means you're good, like D-Lo, ice in the veins. Bryce rhymes with spice, duh. She a baddie, she knows she a 10, a famous Ice Spice lyric. What number is Bryce SENSABAUGH? Number 10. And so Bryce SENSABAUGH is kind of like Ice Spice in the sense that he kind of came out of nowhere this past year. I don't think he was supposed to be a one and done type pick. His highest ranking in high school was 45th by ESPN, 69th by Rivals, and 86th by 24/7 Sports. So still a top 100 high school player, but just not somebody people thought was going to be a one and done, and probably not somebody people thought was going to have a fantastic freshman season, and that's what he did. He averaged 16, 5, and 1 on really efficient scoring numbers. His BPM, which is like a one-number impact metric type thing, had him at 7.6, was the third best number for all freshmen, only behind Jarris Walker and Brandon Miller. And so Bryce is a 6'6 guard. He didn't get officially measured at the combine, so I do wonder if he's under 6'6. I feel like he could be like 6'5-ish, high 6'4-ish. And we don't have a wingspan. We know he's 235 pounds, so he's thick, like Ice Spice. And he's super, super strong. So in the most basic pitch form, he is a two guard who's a really effective three-level scorer. Fantastic mid-range shooter, fantastic three-point shooter, good enough driver. Defensively, I'd say he's not very good right now, but there is real reasons to have optimism that he could be better. And I think he could be a really, really special offensive player because he has a psychotic, delusional, high level of confidence in a good way. So obviously Bryce is just a complete knockdown sniper, forget about it type shooter, but I want you to pay attention to the closeouts on these shots. The special thing about Bryce is that he just straight up doesn't care about defenders closing in on his shot. Watch how he shoots on the open shots, and then watch how he shoots on the ones where defenders are right in his face. It doesn't change. Like, he straight up does not care about closing out defenders. Have you guys seen the Paolo Banchero clip from the JJ Redick podcast where he's like, Kevin Durant just doesn't even see you on defense? This is how Bryce plays, but he is not 7 feet tall. He's like 6'6". He's probably smaller than that. He's probably like 6'5", 6'4". But his shot mechanics never change, and he just has unwavering confidence. He thinks he'll never miss. So Bryce isn't just a spot-up shooter. He's a guy who can relocate and hit these shots off movement. Maybe, well, that one was really nasty, but maybe not like full-on JJ Redick type sprinting into a shot and knocking it down, but he can do a lot. Like, look at that little sidestep three. Look, he's like, oh, it'll help if I move over here. Oh, I don't care about the closeout. Boink. He's just automatic from everywhere from three, really. And this gives me confidence that even if like some of the other parts of his game don't translate, I really feel like he has a future in the league just based off this shooting. It's really unreal. Guys, this is why the Ice Bryce nickname is so good, because he's number one, he's ice cold, and he has unlimited confidence, just like Ice Spice tells us all to have in her song. She's a baddie, she knows she's a 10. Bryce SENSABAUGH knows that he's a baddie, a 10, as a three-point shooter. He's a basketball Calvinist. He thinks every single shot is predestined to go in. That is a bar if you're a guy who knows about religion. Comment down below if you know about religion and you respect what I just said, because that was really good. Bryce SENSABAUGH is your favorite baller's favorite baller. He is your favorite hooper's favorite hooper. My third grade teacher was named Mr. Hooper. At the end of the day, we had to get this like signature from the assistant teacher, and it was literally just the FC to sign off on like our agenda or whatever. And one time the line was way too long to go see her, so I just wrote FC on my thing, but then I felt bad, so I erased it. And then I went up to her once the line was gone, and then she told on me to Mr. Hooper, and he yelled at me for plagiarism. He literally screamed at me. I did the right thing. I erased it. And I came to get the real signature, so how are you going to punish me for that? It's crazy when you grow up and you look back at how psychotic these grown adults were treating kids. Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's really hard to look at these handles, man. How can you watch Bryce Sensabaugh's mid-range game and not think, oh my god, this is Devin Booker, this is Joe Johnson, this is DeMar DeRozan. It's insane. He can do it from either side on the baseline. He can do it in the middle. He has got to be the best mid-range shooting prospect that I have watched. I don't even know who would be in the conversation. I thought Paolo was pretty good last year, but his percentage was not 50%, and he was taking like real tough, stupid shots. And honestly, Bryce takes a lot of really tough shots too, but 50%, I can't emphasize how often you do not see that from these prospects. Like Brandon Miller in this class, another completely nuclear shooter, is at like 28% for mid-range. It's hard to watch this guy and not just be blown away by him doing this at this age. He's 19 right now. He'll turn 20 during his rookie year. All the best mid-range guys you know in the league right now, like DeRozan and like Booker, they were not doing this at this age. So you gotta wonder, how much of a ceiling is there? Like, does this guy, I might be doing too much. This will come back to haunt me, but is this guy gonna become one of the best mid-range shooters ever? And yeah, this did pop up. Listen, this production value isn't very high. This is my first ever video, and I was like, I'm not gonna redo it. So I'm sorry about that warning, but it came up. But yeah, Bryce, this is unreal. So this starts off with a dunk in the half court, which is pretty impressive, but he's not like that. That's not like the Bryce Sensabaugh experience as a driver. He doesn't get like a ton of lift, I would say, but he gets enough. His main weapon as a driver is for sure his strength. Like, let's see, he just knocks down that guy. It's just like a bowling ball on the way to the rim. People just bounce off him. One interesting stat I did see on Adam Spinella's video about him, he's actually pretty bad at finishing off closeouts. So I don't really know why that is, but I feel like that's something that could be improved on. But yeah, in general, I think he could be a good driver. I think his driving game is really going to be propelled by how good of a shooter he is, both with the three-point mid-range. Like, his driving game will play off of that. The driving game won't be the primary thing. But he's got a lot going for him. I love his handles. He's got like these really tight crossover moves. He does in and outs. I like his suddenness as like a stop-start guy, and just that strength is huge. And look at the agility. That strength is huge when finishing. Like, that's Brandon Miller's big issue. He's got to get a lot stronger. But yeah, I really do like Bryce as a driver. When it comes to Bryce as a passer, I think it's pretty clear that there is a lot of room to grow. He's not horrible right now, but he's not great either. At Ohio State, he was not really a play initiator. He was more of a play finisher, to where they would just give him the ball and he would just go to work as a scorer, and the possession would end with a make or miss. And so I don't know the numbers, but I don't think he ran too much pick and roll in the games that I watched. And so he wasn't attempting like a ton of passes in general. But so he did have some really nice flashes of hitting the roll man. He was doing some nice kick-out passes. But in general, I would say that tool belt is pretty limited. But I don't know how much it'll hinder him in the NBA. He for sure has to get better. But I envision his role as being pretty similar, being like the bailout secondary ball handler, offensive type player. Like, think Kyrie Irving 2016 Cavaliers type role. So on this first one, Bryce is just reading this low man when he commits to help, then the corner shooter's open, boink. This one he gets a rebound and just kicks it out, but I like the velocity on this and just finding the open shooter. And then he gets to attack the closeout and gets a floater. This will be a kick out. This is his best kind of pass right now. Just kicks into the open shooter when the defense collapses. This is going to turn into a pick and roll. This one is really impressive. I love the placement over top and in stride, and it leads to a basket. He can throw this like kind of skip pass, but really only when he sees it directly in front of him. But it's fine. This is another one of those kick out passes. He drives, collapses the defense, finds the shooter, boink. This one's basic. Once this guy steps up, he leaves this guy open, boink. This is another pick and roll and into a pretty tight window. Check that out. Whoa. This one is a nice little dump off pass. He gets the attention of everyone, just dumps it off to his big man right there. He doesn't finish, but he does get the foul. On this one, they send 2 on the drive, so he just kicks it to the open man, 1 pass away. Boink. This one is pretty nice, a transition bounce pass in traffic. Wow. The first one is a bad pass just because he tried to do too much. Showtime SENSABAUGH, it didn't work out. This one is just bad shot selection. He shoots over like 3 guys, but he's got this shooter up in the corner here, wide open. This one would have been a tough pass, but I think there's enough room there. Because I don't know how close this guy is paying attention, but I would have liked to see him like throw a lob or something. Just try it out maybe. Maybe I'm being stupid. More tough shot selection here. 2 guys open on the perimeter. He turns this one over on the entry pass. This guy out here shoots 43% from 3, so maybe swing to him. So defensively, I think he is a negative at the college level right now. And I think he'll probably be pretty bad in the NBA for sure to start, but there is the potential for him to be okay. I wouldn't bet on him ever being good just because I think he'll be like a very offensively slanted, offensively focused player. But the tools are there for him to be good if he finds a way to be engaged and like locked in 100% of the time, or like maybe 90, maybe not like 30 right now. I don't know if he's at 30, but he's got to work on that. Yeah, so the off-ball defense is pretty damaging. He gets back cut. He just falls asleep. He ball watches. Not a great helper. He goes for these gambles a lot, and they very rarely pay off. I think he may just really not have great instincts for where the ball is or great hands. For whatever reason, he just doesn't come away with too many balls. And so on the ball, I think he's okay because it just grabs his attention more, so he's more locked in. And his physical strength is, I think, a real weapon for on-ball defense. One thing about defense, you don't hear it discussed this way a lot, but there are guys who take different approaches and they win on defense in different ways. Like, let's think about somebody like Grant Williams. Grant Williams is somebody that they throw on like Giannis, and he does like, as okay of a job as you could do on Giannis because he's so strong. But if you throw him on a little quick guard, he's probably worse on them than he is on Giannis because his main asset is strength. And so quickness counters that, and he's not as effective. And so Bryce is similar to Grant Williams in that way, where I think he would be best deployed by putting him against offensive players who win with strength because he can match that. So like he might do okay against some like surprising guys. Like maybe you could like be like, oh, go try out Jimmy Butler or something like that, or like Jalen Brunson or Julius Randle. RJ Barrett for sure, he could handle RJ Barrett. And so I'm not saying like he's gonna lock down anybody, but it's just like there are some matchups where he's not gonna get killed and he might be able to do okay. Off the ball, tremendous amount of room to grow, and he's got to lock in and just buy into the team concept. So he leaves his man here on a gamble to try and get the steal on the double, but it doesn't work out, and his man cuts in and draws a foul. This one is just ball watching, and it's such an easy pass for the point guard to make. 1 pass away, and he gets the 3. He's just not super reactive, and he doesn't come away with the steal right here when he probably could have. So he leaves his man here to sink into the paint, but he doesn't even help on the drive. So it's like, what were you doing? His team deflects this ball, but he gets back cut here, and it would have been bad if they didn't. He goes for the gamble here and can't get it, and then it just ends up conceding a wide open 3. This is over helping. There's already 2 guys here, and he's like, oh, we need a third. And then it just concedes this wide open 3. So pretty bad decision, and they get the rebound, they finish. On this clip, he just kind of gets lost and just doesn't know what's going on. Here's another gambler. He goes for the steal on this pass, but doesn't come away with it, so he gets a runway to the rim and draws the foul. He's got to get better at screen navigation. He runs into both screens here while chasing the shooter. He just goes for a lot of these gambles, but he's just not very good at it. I don't think he has great hands. He fouls Zach Edey right there trying to get the steal. Here, he just doesn't get back in transition, so not really what you want to see. Here, he's the low man, and this guy just gets wide open in the paint. He does nothing, so it's a layup. This one, he's staring directly at the play, so I don't know why. I guess he just fell asleep again. Here, he gets back cut, so they get a wide open layup. And again, he doesn't get back in transition. He just chooses not to. This one, he does a really good job getting vertical and stopping this from being just an easy layup. This one, he actually does read the play, and he gets an interception because of it. Comes down with the dunk. Boink. Here, he closes out, gets beat a little bit, but recovers and gets the block. But then the guy gets back and makes it. But still, it was nice. It was nice. Just containing the drive of this little guard. Nice to see. Purdue still gets this ball, but he does a good job at making this play really difficult by trying to blow up the entry pass. His strength is a big-time tool on defense, too. Watch how he just absorbs the contact on this drive and can just recover right away to contest. And that strength makes him a pretty capable post defender. He's kind of like James Harden-ish. You guys know how James Harden is actually a decent post defender? Bryce can do that, too, because it's really hard to back him down. Here he digs in on the drive and forces the turnover. He tags the roll man just in case for a second, and then he reads this play and gets the deflection. And then another little flash of rim protection. I don't know how much he's going to do this, but so when I went to go check his draft stock, I was honestly shocked at how low it is right now. So I guess he's my sleeper, at least one of them. CBS has 2 guys who make draft rankings or mock drafts, and they had him going at 15 and 21 respectively. He went at 20 on ESPN, 20 on Sports Illustrated, and 28 on The Ringer. And this is mock draft value, not big board value. So this is where people think he is. So I guess he's in the 20s. That was very surprising to me. And so looking at the draft order, let's talk the best fit. I don't know if he fits on any of the top 5 teams all that well. Then there's Orlando. They do have number 6 and number 11. So I think it would be okay to use one of those picks on him. I don't know if they actually would. If Washington did blow it up and got rid of Bradley Beal, then maybe he'd be the next Bradley Beal, but they probably won't. Utah would be fine just because they're really still pretty early on in figuring everything out. They could use a lot of different types of players. Dallas would for sure be the best spot in the top 10, but here's the conundrum with Dallas. They had Jalen Brunson playing this super important secondary ball handler role for their team to help give Luka some breaks, and he thrived in it. But then he leaves, and in his absence, they're like, okay, this is a problem. We definitely need somebody to do this. And so they go all in on Kyrie Irving. And so at the time of making this video, I don't know what the future of Kyrie Irving is. People have Lakers rumors and everything. I don't know if he's going to re-sign with Dallas or what's going to happen at all. But if he leaves, that leaves that position open again. It's like the defense against the dark arts at Hogwarts. And so if they want somebody to fill that right away, if they're that's our number 1 need, we need somebody to do that, I think Bryce is perfect. Because if you give him the ball, he can create out of the mid-range, and then when he doesn't have the ball, he's a guy who will have gravity as a shooter because he'll be so knocked down. And he's so confident, I feel like he could play in the playoffs and at least make shots as a rookie, open three-pointers. But I don't know if that is the biggest need for Dallas, because Luka has said, in the media, offense is not our problem. Defense is our problem. I can handle offense, and I believe him, honestly. He's a one-man offense. So I don't know if they do go defense at that pick, that would make sense. But if they go offense, he's probably the best option that they could possibly ask for. It would be crazy if Miami got him at 18. Anywhere that needs a secondary shot creator and floor spacer, Bryce Sensabaugh is your guy. At least he should.
And so here's what I'm gonna end on. I want to tell you the framework that I have thought about that I'm gonna apply to this year's draft. Let me give some room so I could write to the side of my head. I'm gonna view everything through the lens of pressure. As an offensive player, how are you putting pressure on defenses? And as a defensive player, how are you taking pressure away from your team's defense?
And so offensively, I think Bryce can put pressure on defenses as a mid-range scorer. He's a guy who can get to his spots. You can feed him the ball in those spots, and he can score at an efficient rate. I think he puts pressure on defenses as a shooter. He's just naturally, you can't leave him open. So he's always going to be dragging a defender with him. And then that could become like multiplied. If he becomes a movement shooter, he could potentially have the impact of dragging multiple defenders with him. I really do believe in his shooting potential that high. I think when you factor in everything, he's the best shooter in this class. 3-point, mid-range, free throw, he can do it all. And so he can be a guy that really causes issues for defenses if you're running him around screens off the ball. And then I think he is a guy who can put pressure on the rim in ideal situations. And I think those ideal situations are probably when he gets a mismatch put on him, or when he's attacking off a closeout or attacking off the gravity of another better teammate. Defensively, you're hoping that he can take pressure off your defense by being an effective on-ball defender. You need him to take a leap as an off-ball defender and become more engaged, because if he stays as bad as he is right now, that puts a tremendous amount of pressure on your defense. I honestly am not anticipating too much growth as a passer, but are there flashes of him being an effective pick and roll player? For sure. And so if that ever comes to fruition in any way and he could become a legit secondary, tertiary pick and roll ball handler, that's another way that he could put pressure on defenses offensively. Also, I should specify more. I think he's probably going to be better on ball defense on wings and in the post. So ultimately, here's the gamble I'm taking on Bryce. He has such a high skill level at the college level as a shot maker that I'm betting on that translating to the NBA and him being a great shot maker at the NBA level, and that his game could function the same exact way it does at Ohio State. If he fails, I think it's because the defense was a bigger obstacle than anticipated. Those contested shots don't work as well against NBA level defense, and he just couldn't get to the rim. So to sum it all up, I'm taking Bryce Sensabaugh really early because I'm saying he's good enough. Bye.